So real quick, I know I didn't do Hawks-Bucks Game 2 reaction. It was a super blowout. I'm still doing those, don't think otherwise. Anyway, Colin Sexton has been in the news a bit as the Cavs are apparently exploring trade options for the guy. Obviously, the Cavs believe Sexton's good. I mean, he's a scorer. He really cares, and I think that matters, even if it sounds like hyperbole. But do they want to pay him the max or near max that he is probably expecting, given that his passing, his defense are not the best? The fit next to Darius Garland, especially because they're two undersized guards, could not be the best. They're probably going to pay Jarrett Allen this offseason. They've already got Kevin Love's contract still there. And given that they have the third pick in the draft, there's a decent chance they could go with Jalen Suggs or Jalen Green, although there is a chance that Evan Mobley is still available. Jalen Green seems to be the best scorer out of the three. Jalen Suggs is a little more steady with passing and defense. And Evan Mobley is the really versatile big who can do everything you want on defense and finish at the basket and hopefully extend his range and improve his post-game in time. And to talk about Garland a little bit more, it kind of seems like Cleveland is all in on him being the guy to build around amongst the guys they have right now. I mean, if they end up picking a star in the draft, then that becomes the top guy. And depending on how this season goes for Garland, that, of course, makes the Sexton thing tougher, because what if Garland plays great and he's deserving of a $20+ million a year contract himself? That said, personally, I don't think the Cavs have to move Sexton this offseason. I feel like they can go into next year with Jarrett Allen on a new contract, Colin Sexton not having agreed to an extension, Darius Garland, which, his extension talks will be after next season, and whoever they draft with the third pick. Unless, of course, somebody just blows them away with a trade offer this offseason, whether it's for the third pick or Sexton or Allen or whatever. Of course, what they don't want to do is pay everyone and then they're still not even a playoff team. Now, to think about the actual trades, I should probably mention the Sexton for Simmons thing that's been talked about a little bit. I mean, I did a little blurb about it in the Ben Simmons trade video the other day. I think the drop-off with Sexton's passing and defense from Simmons would be too much for Philly to do that move, even if they're also getting Larry Nance or something. You might also need Taurean Prince in there just to make the money work, although Cleveland is under the cap this offseason. And for the Cavs' sake, which I have no idea if Philly would even mess with this trade, but if they actually did, I mean, if you drafted Jalen Green after trading for Ben Simmons, I feel like it could make sense. Yeah, you might have to tell Okoro to take a hike, but it's Ben Simmons. You would do that. I mean, it's kind of tough. I did a quick scan around the league, and there were not any super obvious ones. I mean, sure, the Knicks could use Sexton's scoring, and they're good enough defensively to mask some of his problems there. But they've got to extend R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle soon. In terms of the Knicks players, I just don't know what the move is. Do the Cavs really want Obi Toppin or Kevin Knox? I doubt the Knicks would want to give up Emmanuel quickly. I don't know if the Cavs would want him, given that they've already got Garland. It's kind of awkward, even if the Knicks have some extra draft picks. Another team who's good on defense is Miami. They could use some more scoring, but they've got Duncan Robinson's free agency, and also, again, I don't really know what the trade is. I mean, there's very few picks Miami has to offer, and would the Cavs really want Tyler Hero? Would Miami give him up for Sexton? I feel like OKC is at least something to think about in a Sexton trade sweepstakes. I mean, would they be willing to offload some picks for him? Is that something the Cavs would want, or would they want an actual player back? I mean, the Thunder don't have a lot of win right now guys. The idea for OKC could be SGA and Lou Dort can hide Sexton on defense a bit. The thing there, though, is I don't know if OKC wants to pay a guy like that right now. I mean, they have Kemba for 2 years, and they're going to have to extend SGA soon. It depends on how aggressive they really want to be, and if they would mess with Sexton like that. Two other teams that I think could be interesting for Sexton. One is the Raptors, but I feel like that would only happen if Lowry was gone. And even then, with the fourth pick, that also gets a little iffy. The other team would be San Antonio. But once again, it comes back to what is the exact move? I mean, the Spurs, they don't like giving up draft picks. And among all their young guys, I mean, they're not giving up DeJounte, so it's tough. I mean, it could be a team that just needs talent in general, besides OKC. And the one team I think about there is Orlando. Even then, they've got Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony, so maybe the fit with Sexton could be weird, but the Magic, they do have these 2 first-rounders. They've got number 5 and number 8, and I think that does give them some room to be aggressive, especially for still a young guy. But it's also fair for them to just use both of those picks. This is something else with Cleveland, too. Like, if Sexton was really going to be moved, would they want more young guys, more picks, or would they want a veteran? I mean, to me, I think it would actually make a lot of sense for Cleveland to want someone who's a little older, who can help them get better right now. I mean, they're hoping that Kevin Love can be that guy, but he's been difficult, and also he's been hurt. Another team that's got picks and could look to just cash in on some of them is Houston. But the problem there is I just don't know who the players would be back for Cleveland, because I highly doubt they're going to want Eric Gordon. So yeah, I've named a decent amount of teams here. Of course, if Sexton gets moved, it'll be to a team that I didn't think about at all. Now, to look at what else Cleveland has going on, Kevin Love's contract is the big one, and I doubt anything happens with it this season. I mean, even if you do a Blake Griffin-esque buyout, it's still on the books. So unless Kevin Love just really raises hell, he's probably just going to be there. And after next season, it'll be easier to find a trade for him. They also have Taurean Prince's $15 million expiring. That could be interesting. And as far as just looking at their guys, I mean, with Okoro, the question with Okoro is if he's Stanley Johnson 2.0 or not. He shot 29% from 3. We'll have to see. Defense, he's fine. Jared Allen, I like him a lot. I think it's fair to give him like $20 million a year or so on a contract. The interesting thing with Allen to me is like, yeah, he's got all the Clint Capella type potential between rebounding and defending pick and rolls, protecting the rim, switching onto ball handlers and stuff, and just playing really hard. But I feel like he's got some more offensive potential between the free throw percentages being okay, not great. He's been having a little more life as a shooter. The percentages are not amazing. He's not taking a whole lot of mid-rangers or threes, but he's doing it a little bit. And I feel like there's also potential with him having like 1 or 2 dribble moves and spinning off of a guy rather than just trying to finish over him all the time. I just feel like Allen's got some more offensive potential than you might notice by just looking at his stat sheet. And in the case of Garland, I mean, he's a better passer than Sexton, and the pull-up three-point shooting seems kind of real. So they have something going on. Part of it is them just being healthy and having all these guys for a full training camp, because of course they acquired Jared Allen a little bit into the season last year, and they had to deal with like the awkwardness of Drummond still being there and everything. But yeah, again, I don't think they have to move Sexton this offseason, but if you get a really, really good offer, then it's not crazy.